Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Now, I've been having a lot of fun talking about Crawford, talking about Canelo. A lot of the things I say is to drive a healthy dialogue. Now, I do have an opinion on who I think is going to win between Crawford and Canelo. But I also can, I'm going to wait to no kidding, give a final prediction. Right now, I'm just giving conversation. But don't for one second think that I'm a fanboy of Canelo or Bud. I just like boxing. I don't care who wins. But I'm also a guy who, unlike many people, oh, it's up there. Let me show you something. This right here is one of the first, I don't think my name's on there, but one of the first trophies I got from boxing overseas, right? And so when I sit here and really look at Crawford and Canelo, I got so much stuff. One day, for like the members only, I may go pull out those totes with all those trophies and shit. But when I sit here and look at Crawford and Canelo, I just see two amazing fighters, man, who it just blows my mind how people can really come out here and call Crawford a bum and Canelo a bum. Now, what you're getting is me right now. It's not the Hood Champion character. So I think both of those guys bring a lot to the table. A lot of sacrifice has been made, and it takes a certain type of commitment for them to get to the level they've reached. It's just like in the military, you got tactical level, operational level, strategic level. They're at the strategic level, and they're the top 1% operating at the strategic level in the sport of boxing. But that being said, I will give a prediction. Some people say, yo, man, you're flip-flopping, you this and that. No, I'm just going to keep coming out here, giving good content for you guys to enjoy, for you guys to comment on. Just like this video I'm going to give you right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and put on the Hood Champion face, and you're not going to get who I really am. And we're going to talk about this video. Something that I think could happen. All right. So that being said, like and subscribe, become a member to the channel. I appreciate your support. The channel is growing, definitely. For the first time, I'm even seeing, because of the views, man, like the little bit of money that you make out here on YouTube. Some guys are making a bunch of money. I don't. I'm a retired cat. My life is great. But just to see the fact that, the money kind of bubbling up a little bit, I'm like, what the hell is that about? So it's obviously because of you guys watching the video, so I just want to say thanks, because it's a little bit different. But it don't mean I'm going to come out here and take it to the stupid. I still am what I am. But that being said, Budzilla, they running, y'all. They running. And I tell you what, if Terrence Crawford defeats Canelo Alvarez at super middleweight, everybody gonna be hauling ass. And that rematch, hold on. All right, sorry about that. Thought my little man had woke up. That's my other son, up there making noise like a damn vampire. But I'm not going to edit that out because I'm human. Okay, look, man. If Terrence Crawford comes out here and he clips Canelo Alvarez, people are going to be running. Benavidez going to run from him. Jerome Budzilla sure as hell going to run from him. And Canelo, as far as going into a rematch with Terrence Crawford, I don't know if he's going to want to do that rematch. You know what I mean? I know Canelo rematch Triple G. He didn't want to rematch Bivol. There's no other rematches with Canelo I could think of now. Maybe I'm wrong, but I can't think of Canelo doing another rematch. But I'll tell you what, depending on how the fight goes, if Crawford, no kidding, just outclasses him, which, again, we don't know what's going to happen. I know the Canelo fans are passionate about Canelo, and they just feel like Crawford doesn't stand a chance, and I understand Crawford coming up in weight. I understand the whole thing, man. I get it. Most of us get it. But what I will say, man, Crawford clipping Canelo, it won't just be an upset. I think it's going to be him redefining the boundaries between weight classes, and it's going to be an unshakable demonstration of what this fight really is all about, is skill overcoming size. Furthermore, Crawford's win will cement him, just kind of like Godzilla, man. This is this large reptile apex predator who can hunt in divisions far above his natural weight. And that's going to create, what I call Budzilla. Budzilla scenario where just the idea, just the thought of Crawford facing a guy like Canelo and beating him, that's just going to cause opponents to scatter. Just like, when Godzilla used to run through them towns out there in Japan, they used to scatter, and that's what a lot of these boxers are going to do. So what really happens if Crawford beats a guy like Canelo? They got this guy running around here called the Mexican Monster. Like Tyson gave him the name. His name is David Benavidez. David Benavidez is a bad boy. Canelo wouldn't fight him for whatever reason. Could be like the same reason why Floyd didn't fight Amir Khan. Stylistically, could be a nightmare. Who would be the favorite in that fight? I don't know. But what I'm telling you, if Crawford beats Canelo, the landscape changes. And in that new landscape, David Benavidez could confront the reality of his high volume punching style somehow getting dismantled by Terrence Crawford. Because ring IQ and boxing skill can take you really far. And I'm telling you, if Crawford can somehow dismantle Canelo, hey, why wouldn't we entertain the idea of him dismantling David Benavidez? Now, I know some of you are saying, hey, yo, hood champion, hold your horses. You're taking it to the stupid. Let's get through the Canelo fight first, which most of y'all don't think Crawford's going to win. And I can definitely understand your position. But we're just having a conversation now. So, easy. But if he comes out here now, you have to think David Benavidez would say, damn, Crawford beat Canelo. If I get in the ring with him, now he has a little bit of the anxiety that Canelo's facing. Trying to solve for the unknown. Trying to solve the unsolved. And this is real talk. There's a lot of fighters that are going to be emotionally deflated, psychologically defeated, if they see Crawford getting there and put the bing-bings on Canelo. He gets in there and overwhelms him, outclasses him, and goes on to win an easy decision. Or if he does the unthinkable and he knocks Canelo out. The boxing world is going to be turned upside down. There's going to be people saying Crawford's the greatest to ever put on a pair of gloves. There's people going to say Crawford was on steroids. There's going to be people saying that Canelo was never that great. There's going to be a lot of different conversations taking place. But what I will say is a guy like Jaron Ennis, according to some fans, would probably have the best chance against a guy like Crawford. Now, remember, he was the heir apparent to Bud Crawford at 147. He bubbled up to 154 now. Now he's in camp with Canelo, okay? But I just think him being in camp with Canelo could just be a plan to fail because, again, Boots isn't Crawford. But then you have Jermell Charlo. Now, I'm not going to lie. Jermell Charlo, right before he fought Canelo, he was hot. He was on fire. Jermell Charlo was firing on all cylinders. The man lost his title, rematch. Did the business with Tony Harrison. Went and fought the Argentinian cat Castaño. First fight, close, rematch, knocked him out. If that Jermell Charlo would have gone into a fight with Terence Crawford, I think that fight would have been very, very interesting. But we got to be real right now. Jermell Charlo would be in a lose-lose proposition fighting Terence Crawford at this point in time, especially if Crawford beats Canelo. Because, one, I don't know if Crawford's going to want to strip off the muscle he put on. But if he does, he'd have to be careful. You know, I think everyone by now knows the story about Roy Jones Jr. and bubbling up the heavyweight to face Ruiz and then scaling back down in a short period of time to strip off muscle to fight Antonio Tarver, and it was kind of counterproductive. It was a fight that maybe Roy Jones should have just not taken, at least at that short period of time. But what I will say is, Jermell Charlo lost to Canelo, and if he gets in the ring with Crawford, especially if Crawford beats Canelo, then he's going to risk taking another a loss to Crawford as well. I just don't see how Jermell Charlo could come back right now and think that he's going to do the business against Crawford. I think Crawford will dismantle Charlo as well. I think he'll viciously knock him out. Now, Sebastian Fundora, he's the kind of wild card in all this. I know some people are saying, oh, holy shit. You're going to say Sebastian Fundora is a wild card, not David Benavidez? Well, David Benavidez is coming straight forward. He's not trying to stay behind his jab. He's not trying to use any natural advantage he has. David Benavidez is the definition of a mashup, crash-up. He's humming, coming at you. Now, remember, I'm not saying Crawford beats any of these guys. Well, Jermell Charlo, I think he would knock him out. Boots Ennis, I think he would beat him. David Benavidez is, again, it's just a conversation. I think David Benavidez would be a little bit shook seeing Crawford beat Canelo. David Benavidez is not afraid of anything. But I do think that fight will become very interesting because you're sitting there watching a guy who most people feel is just not supposed to win, and he's winning. And to come out here and clip Canelo is going to be something amazing. But a guy like Fundora, stylistically, I think that's the worst matchup for a lot of fighters. Fundora is just a big, tall guy, this towering 6'6", 6'7" frame. The dude's an alien, you know what I'm saying? He presents a unique physical dimensions that, Crawford, I just don't think Crawford can get beyond it. But the problem is, him going up against a guy like Crawford with timing and good body targeting accuracy, his height could at some point, if Crawford fights smart, could become a liability if he stays tall. But the problem is, if he does like he normally does, especially as the rounds progress, and starts fighting like goddamn Aesop Pitbull Cruz, all compartmentalized, well, then he's up shit creek too, because Crawford, could put the bing-bings on him. So I just feel when you look at this and these different names we're throwing out, it's just a conversation. I think at the heart of this fear that Terence Crawford summons in people, and I think he's just going to stir up even more fear in fighters, if he beats Canelo. I think the problem is for fighters, they're going to see, yo, this dude is just an unsolved puzzle. And if Canelo couldn't do it, how are we going to do it? Because boxers are being told that they're not as great as Canelo. Do they accept that? Do they believe that? I think some do. But if the guy who, you've been growing up and watching, and to believe that he's the definition of boxing, it's damn near impossible to beat him. He has a granite chin, etc., etc. And you see him get clipped by Budzilla. What kind of confidence are you going to have going into a fight with Budzilla? But maybe when he fights Canelo, even if he gets the victory, right? Maybe Canelo does have some success. Even if he loses, right? Maybe he has some success. More success than any other opponent. But you know what's going to happen is that now, where there was no clear blueprint, but now there's a little bit, the blueprint starts to come into form, starts to take shape. And they may say, holy shit, these are the things that we've never seen anyone do effectively. And Canelo was able to do it. And he was able to achieve this by doing X, Y, and Z. I just feel the human brain, when facing a problem it can't solve, I think it kind of goes into overdrive. And it just ends up kind of lighting up regions of the mind, regions of the brain to try to detect like errors, problem errors. And I just think the problem-solving component of the mind, when facing a guy like Terrence Crawford, especially he clips Canelo, I just think that's going to be mentally draining, which ultimately will lead to physically draining an opponent. I think the actual definition is cognitive fatigue. And that's something that Crawford has an advantage, because that's what he's able to cause in opponents before he even gets in the ring with them. And you better believe if he beats Canelo, that for sure is going to be an issue for fighters. But let's see what happens, because we've seen patterns of people overthinking, getting paralyzed in the ring, and just ultimately underperforming. George Foreman, good example of somebody who was having some big-time success against Ali, the whole rope-a-dope. And then you just saw what happened. He just somehow started unraveling. Muhammad Ali started touching him up. Foreman went down, and it's like even before they got in the ring, it's like he was losing the fight because of the mental warfare game. And maybe Big George had some self-doubt all along because he knew how great Muhammad Ali was. And when he got in the ring with him, that's why he fought like that, because he knew at some point in time he had to try to damage him and get him out there early, because the longer the fight went, he knew Ali's greatness would show up. Could that be what we see with Crawford and Canelo? Crawford come in there like the Mexican George Foreman or Jorge Foreman. You know what I'm saying? And see, I gotta get to work on this guy, because I know the longer this fight goes on, the more there's a chance he can get in the rhythm and take control. That's a serious conversation. Even if you're a Canelo fan, you got to be saying the same thing. When's the last time you seen Canelo after round 4 or 5 pick it up and start throwing 50, 60 punches around? And mid-round on. Come on. Who have you seen up it from mid-right on, from the midpoint of a fight down the stretch? Who have you seen show the ability to up it and take control and dominate and get a knockout or go to a decision? Terrence Crawford. So I think there's some parallels there. But even when you talk about a guy like Vasily Lomachenko, early pro rivals, man, he had them drowning. Unfamiliar angles, unfamiliar footwork. They couldn't prepare for it. He was another, kind of unsolvable puzzle. So when you see Canelo bringing Ennis in, it's again, it's a sign. I talked about this in other videos of just like mentally scrambling. You know what I'm saying? He's just trying to find answers. And that's what he's supposed to do. Canelo's supposed to be out here doing the research, trying to find answers, trying to understand what he has in front of him, and seeing if he can get somebody in there to help him. But I do think if Crawford topples Canelo, I think I'm always talking about the duck sauce on the fried rice. There's going to be a lot of people find a reason to try to duck Terence Crawford. And this is with TURKI ALALSHIKH. You know, when Turkey's in the house every day, it's Thanksgiving. He's going to have to put some big money up, which he will. Because one thing about TURKI, I wouldn't be surprised if TURKI tried to make Terence Crawford against Jaya Pataya. You know, TURKI will push some weird shit on you. But we could be getting ahead of ourselves talking about all that. But what I'm saying is, if Crawford clips Canelo, anyone near that weight neighborhood, they're going to be assholes and elbows, either delaying the fight or dodging the fight. Benavidez may look to go to light heavyweight because, well, what? It's not worth the risk. For a guy like Benavidez, he's at light heavy. He may try to go to cruiser, but he ain't gonna come back to the division where Crawford and Canelo's in. So super middleweight, he ain't coming back there. So he for sure may just stay where he's at or bubble up another division. Ennis, who knows what he's going to do. But I don't think he would chase after Crawford, especially if he fights this guy, Luis Lima, even if he does the business there and then he struggles with Virgil Ortiz in the next fight. So I couldn't see Ennis, even if he gets past Luis Lima and gets past Virgil Ortiz, saying, you know what, now I want to go and fight Crawford after watching Crawford do the business. I just don't think so. Now, as far as Jermell Charlo, look, he's going to do like a Gervonta Davis. Find a low risk, very high payout type fight. They'll look for something that's a little bit of a lesser risk, but still lucrative. And I think that's a smart thing for him to do. He's been away from the sport too long. Then Fundora's handlers, who knows what they say about him, but they may start talking about his development and start talking about, you know, that's more important than risking him getting damaged. It's just ridiculous, man. But I'm really hoping that if Crawford does get the win over Canelo, and remember that's an if, right? I'm hoping there are other big fights that can be made for him. And I hope the sanction bodies don't get involved, because whenever Crawford picks up straps, they strip him. Crawford doesn't hold on to titles long. They're always doing some shit to this guy, man. Makes you feel like he's just been targeted. Sanctioning bodies, they're aware of marketable names. They know there are people out there more marketable than Terence Crawford. But if he beats Canelo, I think it's like, you know, you got to strike while the iron's hot. If he beats Canelo, he's going to be hot. So the sanctioning bodies may want to move him around and put him in some positions to fight. And TURKI ALALSHIKH may be aligned with the sanctioning bodies, and they may do something like that. But once Terence Crawford cools off, because unfortunately he just doesn't have the profile and platform to where they could take him all over the world and have him fight and make gazillions of dollars, because, you know, he's just hasn't proved to be, you know, that marketable of a fighter, even though I think he has all the goods. I don't know, man. We just got to wait and see how it plays out. But when it comes to that Canelo rematch, Crawford's going to hold a clear mental edge, and he's going to have invaluable data from the first fight. Canelo's going to have invaluable data from the first fight. Crawford's going to look to just extend the great things he did to win the fight. Canelo's going to look to correct the wrongs and extend what moments he had, good moments he had. But I just think at the end of the day, counters, identifying vulnerabilities, and perhaps the the measures put in place to take control of the fight from the beginning, mid-round, and end of the fight. I think that's what it's going to be all about. And if one guy did it, he should be able to do it again. If the other guy didn't, I don't know how they're going to be able to come back and do it in a rematch. That's just my opinion. But what I will say is Canelo, just like in that second Triple G fight, you watch Canelo Alvarez in that fight. My boy took greater risks the second time, didn't he? He actually fought him back because he lost that first fight. I thought he lost the second fight, but he definitely fought back. And I think in a rematch, when Canelo makes up his mind and says, no, I'm going to do it, I got to win this fight. It's going to make him very, very dangerous. And not just in moments. It's going to make him dangerous the whole fight. And this is where you can see that psychological pendulum kind of swing back towards Canelo in his favor if Crawford now is in there and the whole Budzilla thing goes out the window because Canelo comes in there as, Canelo Kong and shit. And sometimes, King Kong used to kick Godzilla's ass, so you just don't know what's going to happen because, again, Crawford's so precise. Just hard to say. But in the end, a victory over Canelo, it wouldn't just be another entry on Crawford's record. I just really feel it would alter the geography of the sport itself. Everybody would be talking about him, but I'm not sure how many people would actually want to face a guy like Terence Crawford if he clips Canelo. He'd just shake up the division. I think even the bravest of guys would think twice. They would say, I don't know, that money looks good, but I don't know if I want to get in there with him. So in that reality, a guy like Budzilla, he wouldn't need to chase after anyone. He would definitely be the hunted. And he would stand tall, waiting, knowing the bold guys are going to probably come after him. He's probably going to look and see, do I want to keep fighting? How much money is Turkey going to pay me? And then he's going to say, all right, I'll give you an opportunity to try to solve this puzzle that no one's cracked. Because the Bud Vinci Code, only I know how to solve it. And right now, I'm going to let Turkey ALALSHIKH pay me that Wu-Tang cream, cha-ching, ching. And let you fools run in circles trying to figure out how to figure me out. Which may never happen. May go on to retire undefeated. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. Budzilla, he's on the way. September 13th, can't get here quick enough. Y'all keep cool, I'm in the breeze.